You know Guts, the giant sword, the missing eye, the missing arm. He takes impossible hits, loses everything, but he just keeps fighting. You see the scars, but have you ever wondered, where does that insane mental strength actually come from? What if Guts' mind isn't just strong, but a scientific marvel that pushes human limits beyond anything we thought possible? This video will show you a side of Guts you've never thought about before. Welcome to Scientific Burst, where we take wild powers from your favorite shows and smash them against real science. Today, we're not just asking, how tough is Guts? We're digging into what it takes to be Guts, the science of his unbreakable mind. Because when you really look at it scientifically, Guts is a puzzle that pushes the very limits of human willpower. Imagine being Guts, not just watching him slash through armies or defy fate, but actually being him. Could a real human ever become what Guts is? Not just in strength, but in mindset, psychology, and raw willpower. Let's break it down. Guts is a fictional warrior from the anime and manga, Berserk, known for his monstrous strength, unbreakable will, and relentless survival instinct. But how close could someone get to being Guts in the real world? First, let's talk strength. Guts swings a sword that weighs more than 400 pounds, something that should be physically impossible. In real life, the average human can't even lift that much, let alone use it in battle. But there are outliers. Strongmen like Hafthor Bjornsson and Eddie Hall have deadlifted over 1,000 pounds. They've trained their bodies beyond normal limits. So theoretically, someone could train with enough discipline to wield something close to the Dragonslayer. Though not exactly like Guts. You'd need years of hypertrophy, tendon conditioning, and pain tolerance. You'd sacrifice flexibility, joint health, and probably your lifespan. Now, let's get into psychology. Alright, let's start with Guts' brain. Think about all the terrible things he goes through. Most people would break, but Guts just gets tougher. What if his brain is actually rewiring itself with every challenge? Scientists call it neuroplasticity. It's how our brains learn and change. When you learn a new skill, your brain literally builds new connections. What if Guts' brain is constantly building super strong connections to handle pain, fear, and loss? It's like his mind is a super tough muscle getting stronger with every hit. His brain isn't just surviving, it's adapting to impossible levels of stress. Into psychology, Guts' trauma is brutal. Abused as a child, betrayed by a father figure, losing everything he loved. He is pure rage and pain wrapped in muscle. But what's interesting is that he keeps going. In psychological terms, Guts embodies something known as post-traumatic growth, the idea that some people don't just survive trauma, they come out stronger. He doesn't break, he adapts. And that's what makes him terrifying. This is where real-life science kicks in. People who go through extreme trauma, war veterans, survivors of disasters, they often develop a mindset of resilience. But it's not magic, it takes years of struggle, mental rewiring. And something Guts has that's very rare, an internal locus of control. He doesn't blame fate, he fights it. That's a psychological superpower. But what about endurance? Guts fights for hours, sometimes days, without rest. That's not just anime logic. There are real-world examples of extreme endurance. Special forces soldiers, ultra-marathoners, deep-sea divers, these people train their minds and bodies to operate under pain, sleep deprivation, and stress. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's thousands of hours of suffering for the sake of mental adaptation. Next, let's talk about pain. Guts loses an arm and eye, gets stabbed, cut, burned, but he keeps going. How? Our bodies have a pain gate. When you get hurt, signals rush to your brain, but your brain can also release natural pain blockers, like endorphins. What if Guts' brain has learned to flood his system with these blockers on command? It's like he has an internal switch that turns down the pain volume. He still feels it, but his brain processes it differently, allowing him to push through. He's not ignoring pain, he's mastering it. Guts loses an eye. An arm, gets branded by a demonic curse, yet he fights through it. In real life, pain tolerance varies from person to person, but neuroscience shows us something powerful. Pain is not just physical, it's controlled by the brain, and the brain can be trained. Tibetan monks can lower their perception of pain through meditation. Soldiers are trained to keep moving despite injuries. If someone really wanted to be Guts, they'd have to master the mind-body pain loop, and that's a lifetime of rewiring your nervous system. And then there's his willpower. It's not just stubbornness, it's a deep, powerful drive. When we're in danger, our bodies go into fight or flight. We get a burst of adrenaline, our senses sharpen. What if Guts' mind can trigger this fight mode on demand and keep it going for days? It's like his body is always ready for battle, always running on pure, focused determination. This isn't just being brave, it's his mind forcing his body to ignore its own limits, pushing past exhaustion and fear. He's a living example of how far human drive can go. So, what's the big deal with all this? Guts isn't just physically strong. His true power is his mind. He shows us that even after unimaginable trauma, the human brain can adapt, master pain, and fuel an unbreakable will. He's a living, breathing example of how far the human spirit can be pushed, and how amazing our own brains are. He's the ultimate survivor. But from a science point of view, his entire journey is a mind-bending look at human resilience that makes him truly unique. Now the question is, why would anyone want to be like Guts? He is a symbol of rebellion against the universe itself. He fights not just people or monsters, but fate, destiny, and even godlike beings. He doesn't just survive, he defines his own reason to live. That's what makes him legendary. So could someone become Guts in real life? Maybe not perfectly, not with a 400-pound sword or supernatural demons, but in spirit. Yes, if someone trained their body relentlessly, hardened their mind, rewired their psychology, and built their life on their own terms, without excuses, without victimhood, they'd be the real-life Guts. Because in the end, Guts is not about fantasy. He's about possibility. He's about what happens when a human refuses to stop moving forward. His strength isn't just in his sword, it's in his unbreakable mind. That is what it takes to be Guts in real life. If this crazy dive into Guts' unbreakable mind blew yours, please smash that like button, subscribe to Sifik Burst for more reality checks on fiction, and maybe even buy us a coffee on Kai. Every little bit helps us uncover another impossible truth. Thanks for watching and stay curious!